Hello and welcome to Candesic in Conversation, a podcast series exploring the big innovations, opportunities and challenges in health and social care, life sciences and medtech. Today Candesic is in conversation with Nicolas Ploquin, who is the Acteon Group's CEO. Welcome to the podcast and thank you for your time today.
Thank you, David.
So the way I see it is you've got dental imaging, you've got small equipment, things like air polishing and ultrasonic scaling, and you've got pharma and consumables.
Yeah, sure. Pharma consumable, many anesthetic. So you want the dentist to use an anesthetic when he's on your teeth.
Who owns the company?
The current owner of Acteon are the Dentresson Capital Groups. It's a long-term family-owned private group who bought the company in 2018.
You have a manufacturing base in France. How does a localized European centric supply chain benefit you? I'm thinking that if there's a cost conscious dentist, they might look at, say, cheaper non European imports if there's a price difference.
Yeah, we don't really see manufacturing in Europe as a cost disadvantage. We truly see it as a strategic asset. I think it gives us quality control, it gives us regulatory reliability, supply chain resilience, especially post-COVID. You know, a lot of industry like ours have been rethinking this. Dentists may be price sensitive, but at the end of the day, they are ultimately risk sensitive. You know, when you have a patient, when you have between 10 to 20 patients in your day, you really need to make sure that the product is there, reliable, on supply in time. So I do believe dentists are at the end of the day risk sensitive. They truly value reliability, precision on service, and that's what we are every day doing at Acteon.
So are your main competitors Europe based or are they outside of Europe?
So it depends, but it's a global game. We in imaging we have some Asian, Korean, Swedish competitors. In the anesthetic, we have a French competitors. In specialized equipment, we deal with American and other international players. So it's really a global game.
Got it. And speaking of cost conscious operators, digital imaging dominates the market now. I'm assuming that there's still a stubborn cohort of analog users, maybe in emerging markets or, let's say, older solo practices in less consolidated areas. Do you have a strategy? Do you even need a strategy to get that wave of analog to digital transition? Or is it just happening?
Yeah, imaging in general is so much creating value in the daily practice of dentists. When you want to explain to your patient the importance of doing, a tooth replacement, a whitening, prophylaxis, the imaging is so much adding, helping the dentist in the communication to patient, and patients are asking for it. It's I think patients themselves are putting pressure on dentists to equip themselves. And some of their machines are costing few hundred euros. Honestly speaking, we have one camera called the C50. It's less than 1,000 euros, so it pays by itself. So I would say the transition is really inevitable, and it's not just about technology; it's about adoption. So we really focus on making digital simpler, more intuitive, more economically justified for practitioner. That means, of course, training, workflow integration, clear ROI, on not just hardware.
So you can justify it on the figures. But patients, I guess, are also much more like consumers these days. Over the last decade or so, they're shopping around, they're looking at the internet, they're reading the reviews, they're making the reviews.
They need to be seen, they need to be visually connected. It's really important in today's world.
Let's touch on AI now, which we can't ignore in any walk of life. To what extent are you embracing artificial intelligence? To what extent is it a potential challenge?
You know, I very often said a dentist is like the hairdresser. I think we will not disrupt. We will need a hairdresser, we'll need a dentist, we need a cook. I think robots are not there to disrupt dentists. people will need dentists today and tomorrow. But I do believe AI is not a threat. It's really an accelerator. The true risk, in company like ours, and it's, I talk about AI every day to my management team, is really not to move fast enough. In our space, AI is reshaping diagnostic workflows, decision support for clinician. So it will really not replace practitioner, it will augment them. So we provide tools, especially in imaging, which are making the diagnostic faster, which is also helping the dentist to show, with visual animation, the matrix of the teeth, the place where there is opportunities to improve. So I think the players should not be concerned about those sitting on data but not using it. So I do believe in medtech, AI won't replace companies, but companies using AI will replace those who don't. So it's really the mandate that we're working on at Acteon.
I think that over the last couple of years, some of the independent operators might have been hesitant to finance a major capital equipment upgrade. How do you sell high-end surgical and imaging equipment to operators who maybe are tightly guarding their capital expenditure at the moment?
So first, we don't sell direct most of the time. 80% of our contact to final dentists are done through strategic distributors. So we have a strategic collaboration with Henry Schein globally, with Benko, Patterson in the US, with Cadence in Europe. So they are the one who visit the dentist every day, who provide all the service. And we work with them to provide financial support, financial leasing models that are helping dentists to buy some of those equipment. But very often we as Acteon, we're viewed as a very good value proposition with a very interesting ROI, The conversation in this, I would say, tougher macro environment, is the conversation shift from can I afford it to can I afford not to have it? So we really position ourselves around productivity, clinical outcome, patient experience. And when a system improve workflow and increase patient throughput, the ROI becomes very tangible. So that's what our reps, we have more than 150 reps globally, and that's what our reps working closely with distributor are trying to engage and are very much convincing a lot of our final customers to buy our equipment.
So we're back to what we said previously. People will pay for quality, they'll pay where they can see the return on investment, because if they make that investment, then it will pay for itself in time.
Yes. On the dentist, I would say is both a clinician and an entrepreneur. He owns his clinic. He's buying his chair. He's buying his machine. So the dentist is, of course, looking for an innovation, but he's looking for innovation that pays out, that have a good return on investment, and that support his daily practice. That's why there is a huge loyalty to our brands, because the dentists believe Acteon is a very reliable brand.
Is there a loyalty in that? How reluctant are people to switch brands? And once people have established their brand, is it like I am with my bank? I've got the same bank that I had when I was an 18-year-old. I've just never bothered shopping around. Is it similar in this field? Presumably it's all based on relationships as well.
Yeah, it's tough. I would say in medical in general, it's tough to change habits. So it's important to understand. One of the key things, one of my early mottos coming to Acteon is really understanding better the customers. And that's also something that helped me throughout my 25 years of experience in healthcare. So trying to understand the challenges, the insight of dentists, on trying to see if there's still some untapped opportunity. And you would be surprised, there is still a lot of opportunity to make the dentist more efficient in his daily practice. A lot of those dentists are going through tough time, short staff, pressure, interest rates going up. So how can we make this dentist work smarter, faster? How can we help the dentists have a better communication to his patient? How can we basically make the dentist a better both clinician or entrepreneurs? And when you understand that, when you provide solutions that really help the dentist to do that, he can shift brands.
And when you look at your global operations today, where do you think the greatest untapped opportunities are for your business?
Yeah, I would say US is 40%, is the number one market on the globe. So it's a market you cannot miss. So we have a presence there. We have a good market share, depending on the segment, between 5 to 10%. So we are a challenger in the US. But we are doubling down right now in the US because it's still, despite all the challenges, geopolitical challenges of the US on the barrier, the tariff change last year, we do believe US is a strategic market. So my team currently investing, doubling down in the US. We're adding more reps over there. We're increasing our marketing efforts on clinical partnering. Outside of the US, we are focusing very much on Asia. I was in China a couple of weeks ago for the second time. We do believe there is a huge opportunity in Asia, both in China, which is the second largest dental market. A lot of an affluent population right now in China is looking for advanced dental equipment, and hence we do believe Acteon as a play over there. But also Japan is a very important market also. So we're currently looking at geographical expansion in Asia after US. And last but not least, we also looking at Latin America as another opportunity.
And I think you've got some experience there with Unilabs, haven't you?
Yes, so both at J&J and where I was leading the diabetes care market in Latin America, and at Unilabs, I have some both personal experience because my kids are half Mexican, on professional experience in Latin America. So it's you're right, it's a region dear to my heart.
When a new CEO comes in, it's important, of course, to take the management team with you. How do you keep everybody on board and heading in the right direction and the same direction?
I've reorganized my management team, trying to reduce layers. For me, it's key as a CEO to be close to customers, to understand. I spend a lot of time on the field. I spend a lot of time with dentists to try to listen to their needs. And I've reduced layers. I've created 3 regions directly reporting to me: one Americas, one Europe, one Asia and Middle East, which is really helping those global leaders. One is American, the other one is French. The third leader is from Hong Kong, speaking Chinese. So I have a very global team who I speak every week, that really have access directly to the CEO, and really making sure we combine both, customer insight and innovation, that's one of the key things I'm going to be focusing on in the next couple of years, to really make sure we maintain that continuous rhythm of innovation throughout those 3 platforms I mentioned.
We're running out of time, but I wanted to ask a slightly left field question, thinking about your role on the MedFit steering committee. We've got people watching this in private equity and venture capital investors, and I'm just wondering what specific red flags you look for when you are evaluating a medtech startup's commercial scalability, or whether they have regulatory preparedness.
Yes, so a lot of the entrepreneurs, inventors, would say blind spot is sometimes they fell in love with their technology so much they might be forgetting, path to reimbursement, path to market access. So when I worked at Keranova, and when I worked with several, startups, I try to discuss with either the CEO or the inventors, how much energy you, of course, need to continue to work on your technology, but also how much you need to work on a clear path to reimbursement and market access. And a lot of those entrepreneurs very often underestimate the regulatory complexity to get into Asia, to get into the US. Being strong in France doesn't mean you're going to be strong in the rest of Europe. So I would say this is one of the key things I've been working on with startups, making sure you secure a realistic go-to-market in other markets. And you understand that. I would say medical device as as you know as a very strict regulation called MDR, and it's really important that those startups understand clearly those route to market.
It's not enough to have a great product. You've got to understand how to get paid for it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. And in medtech, adoption matters almost more than in invention. That's really key. So I would say, let's not forget market access.
Got it. Sadly, the clock appears to have run down on us. Nicolas, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, David. It was a very good dialogue. Thank you so much.
And thank you to everyone who has watched or listened all the way to the end of this podcast. My name is David Farbrother and I am Director of Content and Communication at Candesic. We are a London-based consultancy. Feel free to link in with me or drop me an email. I would love to hear from you. New podcasts in the series are available regularly on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.